You know that moment when you walk past the kitchen, you're not hungry, you're not even thinking about food, and then you see the chips or the ice cream or that leftover dessert, and suddenly it feels like there's a magnet inside your skull pulling you toward it. You tell yourself no. You remind yourself of your goals. You literally argue with yourself in your own head. And still, almost in a trance, you watch your hand reach out, open the bag, and take a bite. Now, you're smart. You can do hard things. You show up for work, for your family, maybe even for the gym. So, why is it that this one area makes you feel like you have zero willpower? Why can you push through a brutal workday, but not through a plate of cookies? In this episode, we're going to question a story that many of us grew up with, the story that cravings are basically a discipline problem. That if you really wanted to badly enough, you'd just say no. What if your weaknesses around food are not a character flaw at all, but a very specific survival program that your brain thinks it needs to run? And what if a little sugar molecule that most of us barely think about is quietly dialing that program up? I'm Chris Mearns, and this is the Fructose model. Let's start with what it actually feels like from the inside. You've had a decent meal, you tell yourself, I'm full, I'm done. And then 40 minutes later, you're standing in front of the pantry door with this restless, itchy urge. It doesn't even feel like normal hunger. It feels like tension, like something won't relax until you eat that specific thing. So here's the first twist. Your brain doesn't care what you told yourself at dinner. It cares about one question above everything else. Are we safe on energy? Not do we have enough food in our stomach, but how threatened are we that we might run out of energy? When your brain senses an energy shortage or even a potential shortage, it does not send a gentle email. It pulls the fire alarm, and you feel that as a craving. The strange part is that you can have plenty of calories in your body, even extra fat stores, and your brain can still behave as if you're on the edge of a famine. So the real puzzle becomes, why would a well-fed body ever send a starvation level signal? To answer that, we have to look beneath hunger and talk about two things that your brain is tracking all day. First, how much usable energy is in your blood right now? And second, how easy will it be to get more energy later if you need it? If it predicts future might be rough, then it tries to push you to eat now and store extra for later. And isn't that what cravings are doing? They're not commenting on your character. They're your brain saying conditions look risky. Top up the tank, preferably with fast calories. The next question is what tells your brain that conditions look risky even when your logical mind thinks I'm fine. And that's where certain metabolic signals come in. Some of them can quietly tilt the brain towards seek more, store more, that kind of mode. And one of those signals is tied to how we metabolize a specific kind of sugar. And that's where the story takes a surprising turn. Because this is the point where very disciplined, very intelligent people end up fighting against a biological safety program instead of against just bad habits. But what exactly is that program doing? And why does it feel stronger than willpower? Let's bring in the molecule that almost never shows up in the willpower conversation. Fructose. You'll find it in table sugar and high fructose corn syrup, in fruit juice, and even in a lot of healthy snack bars. And it's even made inside your body under certain stresses. Here's the simple version first. When animals in nature need to fatten up for a scarce season, they often trigger a specific internal program. That program lowers how full they feel, increases how driven they are to keep eating, and it helps them to store more of what they eat as fat. Fructose is one of the master switches for that program. At first, that sounds impossible. Now, how can one tiny sugar molecule change how powerful a craving feels? The trick is, fructose isn't just more sugar. The way it's processed changes how your cells sense energy. When your body metabolizes fructose, especially in larger doses, it tends to drop something called ATP inside your cells. You can think of ATP as your cell's spendable cash. Even in a body with plenty of stored energy, a drop in that spendable cash signal feels at the cellular level a bit like poverty. That low energy signal does a few things all at once. It makes you more food seeking, it dulls some of the normal I'm full breaks, and it nudges you towards storing more fuel for later. Translate that into everyday life, and it looks like this. You slam a sugary drink or a dessert, your body energy shoots up, but then certain cells start acting like money's tight. Your brain listens to those cells more than to your calendar. So even if you know dinner is coming, your brain quietly says, conditions might be rough later. So eat now, don't stop, and pick the fast stuff. That urge is not about being greedy. It's you running a built-in survival script. Early research in humans and animals suggests that repeated activation of this fructose-driven program is linked not just to weight gain and metabolic issues, but also to stronger food-seeking behavior. Now, we should be clear, this is a model that's still being tested. Mechanistic and animal data are ahead of long-term human trials, but the pattern it proposes lines up uncannily well with what many of you describe. You're not physically starving. You're not deficient in discipline. You're stuck in a biochemical loop that keeps telling your brain, act like winter is coming. And so, when you've had a long, stressful day, maybe slept badly, grabbed something sweet on the go, and then you come home to a kitchen full of quick energy, your logical brain says, be good, but your fructose-influenced survival program says, fatten up while you can. Now, which one wins when they argue at the pantry door? This is why cravings can feel so much stronger than your values. You're not arguing with a thought. You're arguing with a famine alarm. But if that's true, what are we supposed to do with it? If cravings are a biological signal, not a moral failing, then how does that change the way you approach your next battle with food? Let's resolve the mystery in one line. Cravings often feel stronger than willpower because in those moments, your brain isn't testing your character. It's trying to protect you from a perceived energy threat. And that shifts the story. Instead of I'm weak, the more accurate thought might be my survival wiring is in overdrive. And here's where fructose gives us a powerful reframe. If this model is right, then a chunk of modern eating keeps hitting that ancient fatten up switch, not with obvious sugar bombs, but with lots of little repeated exposures that quietly lower cellular energy signals and keep your brain leaning towards seek and store. And that doesn't mean fructose is evil or that one piece of fruit ruins your brain. But it does mean that we need to start talking about it a lot more.